Theo here. Hope everyone is well and welcome to a very special then and now. This is about the Rolling Stones as a tribute to the fine Charlie Watts. Been a bit of a mixed week this week, changing everything around, but this is easy to do because I'm a big fan of Rolling Stones, always have been. So this is quite easy. So the Rolling Stones formed back in 1962, before I was born. Brian Jones was the man behind all this. So we got Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, Charlie Watts, of course, Bill Wyman, and they started making records. Obviously the first few were covers, and then they came into their own, started recording their own singles, albums. Then 1969, of course, Brian Jones left the band through his drinking and drugs, and consequently sadly died. He was replaced by Mick Taylor, who was in the band until 1974, and then he was replaced with ex-Faces guitarist Ronnie Wood, and then up until 93, when Bill Wyman left, they brought in a session guy, Darryl Jones, who recorded and toured with them, and they continued as that four-piece right up until, sadly, Charlie's death this week. Made quite a lot of albums, of course, a lot of singles, because in the early days they were making albums, but none of these singles were on the album, so they were making albums, recording singles. Very, very busy. Very, very busy band. So let's have a look at that very first album, released by Decca Records, 16th of April 1964. It was recorded at the Regent Sound Studios and was produced by their managers at the time, Andrew Loong Oldham and Eric Easton. A lot of these tracks, obviously, they're the band's love of rhythm and blues, and they do great versions of some of the things. There's two songs that are credited to someone called Nanka Pledge. It's a pseudonym that used some compositions from Phil Spector and Gene Pitney, who actually were part of them recording sessions, and they refer to as Uncle Phil and Uncle Gene. It's like in the there's a song. So on that first album, of course, we've got Mick Jagger singing, backing vocals, harmonica, Keith Richards, ever present, all the guitars and backing vocals, Brian Jones again on electric harmonica, ever reliable Bill Wyman on bass, and the brilliant and great drummer Charlie Watts. We've also got Gene Pitney on here, who plays the piano, and Graham Nash appears on this, doing some backing vocals on Little by Little, Phil Spector, and Alan Clark from the Hollies. So what are the tracks on this? Well, you got Route 66, classic rock and roll, which actually was recorded by Nat King Cole in 1946. Then we got the Willie Dixon, I Just Want to Make Love to You. You never know when I'll ever beat the Etta Jones, but I do like the Stones version of it, really good. Then you got Jimmy Reed's Honest I Do, really good track. Then you got Mona, Bo Diddley. Then you've got this Nanka Fedge. I've got a Witness. Instrumental, great track. They're very good at these tracks, is the Rolling Stones. Little by Little, another classic song by Nanka Pledge. And that's where you got Alan Clark on it, Graham Nash, Phil Spector and Gene Pitney. All their mates come in and have a bit of a session. Then we turn over to side 2. I Am a King Bee. James Moore. Pretty cool version of that. Carol. Great version of Chuck Berry's Carol. Then Tell Me You're Coming Back. An original by Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. Really good track. It just shows what a great partnership these two would have. Can I Get a Witness? It's not too bad. You Can Make It If You Try. Very good version of that song. And Walking the Dog. Great version. Terrific. Okay, what did the fans and the critics think of it? Well, it was absolutely welcomed. Got to number 1 in the UK charts, and number 11 in America. It was really well received, and this album was included in Robert Dimery's 1001 albums you must get before you die. Well, considering this is just a load of old blues songs, but done brilliantly, he said it's a testament to the group's brilliance that was a result was still the best album to emerge from 1960s British blues boom. The ensemble lovingly delivers some of their favourite shots of rhythm and blues, and it was voted also number 418 in Colin Larkin's all-time top 1,000 albums. That's not bad for a covers album, is it really? So, what do I give this album? Ooh. Song quality. I'm going to give it 5 out of 10. No, 5 out of 5, sorry. 5 out of 10. What am I talking about? 5 out of 5. Because the songs are great. They are all classic songs. The production, again, really good for 1964. Plug in and go. Absolutely fantastic. I'm going to give it 4 out of 10 because it's not perfect, of course, but it's very sentimental. And the reception, well, everybody loved it. I love it. I still do. You know, it's 52 years ago or more. Well, it's even more, isn't it? Nearly 60 years. So I give it a 5 out of 5. So that gives an RTO ranking for the Rolling Stones debut album of 14 out of 15. What an album. I actually had it, I had it on, put it on when I heard about Charlie's death, so I thought, let's put the first album on. Cranked it up, and you just think, God, these tunes are so good still, even though they're other people's. Fantastic album. Okay, let's go forward in that time machine. 52 years. God. So their last album. We don't know if this will be their last album. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. This was the 23rd album, released in 2016. Absolutely belter. Lonesome and Blue, I think. Didn't put the name of the track down. What a wally. I think I was trying to do 2,000 things at once when I was doing this. Just bear with me, folks, while I actually go to where I've written it down. Blue and Lonesome, that's it. Oh dear. Again, this was a covers album. So their first album, a covers album. Probably their last album, covers album. And what a selection of tracks. This obviously will be the last album we'll ever hear Charlie Watts on. That's so sad. Still can't really get over it. So we got Mick Jagger doing the lead vocals and harmonica, Keith Richards on the guitars, Charlie Watts stable as you like on the drums. Ronnie Wood on guitar. It's also got Darryl Jones, the session guy, who to me is part of Rolling Stones legend now. He's been there since '93 on the bass. Chuck Leavell on the keyboards. Eric Clapton makes a appearance on this album. He plays on Everybody Knows About A Good Thing and I Can't Quit You Baby. Produced by the Glimmer Twins and Don Was. There's some great blues songs on here. Terrific. You open up with Just Your Fool from Little Walter. What a track. It's still, I mean, I don't know if this was heavily produced or anything. It just sounds like they've all gone in the studio. Keith's plugged his guitar in. Charlie got behind the drums and away they went. Commit a Crime, the Great Howling Wolf Trial. I love Howling Wolf, the Stones. Terrific song. Title Track, Another Little Walter, Blue and Lonesome. These are just classic blues songs that you just don't get tired of listening to. All Your Love for Magic Sam. I love that track. And Keith's guitar work in that is superb. I Gotta Go. Mick. The man can still sing. Great version of the Little Walter song. Everybody Knows About My Good Thing. Eric Clapton. What a man. Comes in and does some great stuff on that. Then we've got Ride 'Em Down, the Eddie Taylor number. Fantastic. Hoodoo Blues. OT6. Fantastic. My favourite track off this album. Little Rain. Again, I love it. Love this. Jimmy Reed Jr.'s composition. Just fantastic. And we end up with two Willie Dixons, Just Like I Treat You. Fantastic song. And the brilliant I Can't Quit You Baby. One of my favourite blues songs of all time. Okay. How was it received? Well, during its first week, the album moved 106,000 to debut at number 1. This is a band that have been called dinosaurs, called everything. They release a covers album straight to number 1, and by February 2017 it was certified platinum. And then in America, debuted at number 4 with 123,000. Best-selling album of the week in the US. But it didn't get no certification in the USA, but that doesn't matter. It was met positive by the reviews. The critics rated it on the Metriatric, which is which I use to help me do this, 82 out of 100. They put some of these young bands to shame, which I love. Kitty Empire from The Observer called it a labour of love. And it is, because it's a beautiful album. They're just playing their favourite songs. Alexis Produce of The Guardian said, the Stones are more alive here than they've sounded for years. But Robert Christgau was less impressed, saying the album is a sodden thing of many old rockers. All I can say to you is, go away. What a moron. And Grio Marcus wasn't impressed with it. I don't know why. It's a great album. Again, this album won lots of accolades. Album of the Year 2017 Jazz FM. Blues Artist of the Year 1917. And then it got a Grammy Award for Best Traditional Blues Album at the 60th Annual Grammy Awards. It was the third time they'd won a Grammy. Fantastic. It's just a great album. And again, I had it on. So obviously I was doing this show and I just, God, it kicks some butt. So what do we go? Song quality. Great songs with that modern twist and putting through the Stones machine. 5 out of 5, without a doubt. Production. Great production. It does sound like they've just gone in and plugged in and gone. I mean, it didn't take them long to record either. I think about 2 or 3 days. So it must have been just plug in and go, boys. And the reception, everybody loved it except them 2 twerps, and they don't really count. Obviously they're not great Rolling Stone fans, and so I give it a 5 out of 5. So it gets top marks here, 15 out of 15. What can you say about the Rolling Stones? Good on debut, and still kicking good rock blues out in 2016 when this album came out. So shall we have a look at some of their other greatest albums, go through them. I'm only going to concentrate on the UK releases, because the Americans, they're all over the place. You know, they had put out more albums, and it got very confusing. So I'm just going to concentrate on what they did in the UK today. So the next album after the debut was Out of Our Heads, 1965. Got to number 2. It's got to Get Away on it, Heart of Stoner, a good track, and I'm Free. Some of the earliest compositions written by the band. Terrific songs, great album. Then in 1966, year I was born, I got another #1 album, Aftermath. Got some great tracks on here. Mother's Little Helper, Stupid Girl, Under My Thumb, Going Home, Flight 505, what a track. It's Not Easy, I Am Waiting. Terrific songs. Another good solid album. Next out of the album to pop up was 1967's Between the Buttons. Some really good tracks on this. Got to number 3 in the album charts. Got Yesterday's Paper, love that. Backstreet Girl, nice little boogie song. Cool, Calm and Collective, oh, just doesn't get any better. Miss Amanda Jones, I love that track. I just love these early albums. Something Happened to Me Yesterday, another good track. Then we go to 1967. There's Satanic Majesty's Request. Some great tracks on here as well. Highlights in Another Land, She's a Rainbow, and 2000 Light Years from Home. All good tracks. Okay, then we come into that period of the Stones history where they basically couldn't do anything wrong. It started off in 1968 with the brilliant Beggar's Banquet. Sympathy for the Devil, a classic song, one of the longer ones, and I love it. I've always loved this track. Then we get the brilliant No Expectations, another classic. Dear Doctor, nice little quirky number. Parachute Woman, oh, the track's just a brilliant. Jigsaw Puzzle. Then we get probably one of the greatest songs I ever wrote, Street Fighting Man. Don't have to say too much about that, everybody knows that one. Prodigal Son, another great track. Stray Cat Blues, great blues. Then we get that brilliant Factory Girl. Stalwart of the live set, Factory Girl. Great song, and then it ends up with The Salt of the Earth. And we get another stonking album in 1969, the brilliant Let It Bleed. This was the first time we heard Mick Taylor. It's got some Brian Jones and Mick Taylor on it, but he got, obviously Brian got fired because of his not turning up and being too drunk to do anything. So Mick Taylor comes in. I think Brian Jones, sorry, didn't only appeared on a couple of songs. The tracks on this are just got some of my favourite tracks of all time. Gimme Shelter is just fantastic. One of my favourite tracks by the Stones. Then we get the very good Love in Vain, Country Honk, bit of fun there. Live with Me. Do you know what? If you can hear a funny noise in the background, it's Rocky snoring his head off. I don't know. A Dog's Life. Where was we? Yeah, Live With Me, another good track. Then we get the title track, Let It Bleed. Oh, I love that track. Midnight Rambler, another brilliant track. You Got the Silver. Great track. Monkey Man, classic. And it ends up with a great classic. You can't always get what you want. I love that song. Remember seeing them do that. We'll talk about when I did see them very shortly. And you think, well, how can they top that? Of course they can. It's the Rolling Stones. So out comes Sticky Fingers from 1971. #1 album this was. Opens up with the fantastic Brown Sugar. Oh, I love that. Then we get Sway, another good track. Wild Horses. You just can't get any better. Can You Hear Me Knocking? Great track that is. You've Got to Move. Solid. Then we get Bitch. I recently purchased Steel Wheels Live, and there's a live version of Bitch on it. I love Bitch. I've Got the Blues. Going back to their roots, of course. Sister Morphine. Marianne Faithfull wrote this with Jagger and Richards. Wonder why. Dead Flowers. Another great track. A Midnight Mile. A great album. One of the best. You just can't get it. What can they top it up with? Yes, another #1 album. 3 on the trot. That is some impressive feat. Exile on Main Street. A lot of people when this came out weren't too keen on it. I love it. Rocks Off. What a track to open up. Rip This Joint, another good rocker. Shake Your Hips. Casino Boogie. The brilliant Tumbling Dice. Just can't get any better than that. Sweet Virginia. Torn and Frayed. Sweet Black Angel. Wow, what tracks these are. And we haven't mentioned him for a bit. Charlie, with that simple kit of about 4 bits. You think when you listen to him, he's playing a drum kit the size of Neil Peart's. I've got no problem with people with big drum kits as long as you use all the drums. And there's one thing I love about Charlie Watts. I think one of his great quotes was, being in the Rolling Stones, if you put it into 25 years, you spend 20 years waiting and actually 5 years doing something. I just love how he plays drumming on these. It's simple, but it's tight. Him and Bill Wyman were one of the tightest engine rooms going, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, the next track is Loving Cup. Love that track. As this is a double album, we go on to side 3 and a new album. Happy opens up the second album. Good track. Then we get a funny thing called Turd on the Run. Only the Stones could come up with a song called Turd on the Run. Well, we've had Band on the Run, so why not Turd on the Run? Ventilator Blues. Oh, there's some great blues. I Just Want to See His Face. Great song. Let It Loose, great track. Then we go on to side 4, All Down the Line, another great track. Stop Breaking Down, Robert Johnson number, brilliantly done. Brilliantly done. Obviously Robert Johnson's was only him on his guitar. Let's give it to the Stones. Let's give it some oof. And I'm sure Robert Johnson would have been very proud of it. Then we get the brilliant Shine a Light. Got a story to tell about Shine a Light. When they released the movie Shine a Light, me and my mate Lee were in Chicago at the time. And they had one of them big 360 type cinema things. And one night we went down to, it was on Navy Pier. Used to go there quite a lot at night because had some nice bars and nice places to eat. We was having something to eat and we noticed cinemas Shine a Light. Whoa, let's go and see this. Wow. Keith Richards that close up. Oh dear, scary, but a thoroughly enjoyable evening, and you felt like you was actually at a Stones concert. That's how brilliant it was. One of my favourite memories of Rolling Stones, that is. I mean, I've seen them once, but to see this on this 360 cinema thing was just fantastic. And the last track on this album, Soul Survivor, another solid track. 3 #1 albums on the trot. Anyone think they could carry on? Of course they could. In 1973 they come up with Goat's Head Soup. Another #1 album for them. This is just some going, this is. Dancing with Mr. D, great way to open up the album. 100 Years Ago, very good track. Coming Down Again, classic. There's a lot of songs on there that they don't do live or on Greatest Hits album, but there's some classic songs on here. Do Heartbreaker, again another classic. Then we get the brilliant Angie. A lot of people don't like this. I love Angie, great track. Silver Train, Corker, Hide Your Love, brilliant. Can't Hear the Music, and Star Star, what an album. Then they released in 1974 It's Only Rock and Roll. Only got the #2. Dear oh dear. But that was a great run, wasn't it, really, for them, from Let It Bleed in 1969 right up to Goat's Head Soup in 73, all #1 albums. What a band this is. And I still can't get over Charlie Watts. He was just an incredible drummer. On the Only Rock and Roll, got some good tracks on here again. You got the title track, love the video to that. That phone. Ain't Too Big to Proud is a good one. It's only rock and roll, but I like it. Dance Little Sister. Short and Curly's. And this, of course, is the last album to feature Mick Taylor. And he was, what a guitarist he was. Right, next one to come up, there was another #2 album from 1976, Black and Blue. This is the first time we'll hear Ronnie Wood. And I don't know how many people know that he only became a full-time member, an official member of the Rolling Stones in 1990. But he's been a touring member since 1975. Not a lot of people know that. Got some great tracks on this. Hot Stuff, oh, great track. Hand of Fate, good track. Cherry O Baby, what a cover of that. Memory Motel, Hey Negrita, an inspiration by Ron Wood. Melody, an inspiration by Billy Preston. Fool to Cry, and Crazy Mama. It's not one I go to all the time, but I do like listening, putting it on now and again. But then the next one that come out is another classic from 1978. Got to number 2. Some Girls. Opens up with Miss You. Miss You. Dun, 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 dun. On the hip. Great track live. When the Whip Comes Down. Another good track. Just My Imagination, Running Away With Me. Written by Norman Whitfield and Barrett Strong. Great little song that is. Some Girls, the title track. Can't get any better than that. Great track. Lies. Another fantastic track. Far Away. Oh. Mr. Watts. Steady Mr. Watts. Fantastic. Then we get Respectable. Really good track. Before They Make You Run. I love Keith's guitar in this. Sounds really, really solid. Beast of Burden and Shattered. Great album. Play that one a lot. Then we have a 2-year break and they come back with an album called Emotional Rescue from 1980. Straight to number 1. Great. Again, this hasn't got many songs that people know. Summer Romance is a good track. Dances. Indian Girl, really good track. Down in the Hole, love that. Emotional Rescue, solid. Good album. Underrated. Emotional Rescue, solid top to bottom. And then we get to one of my favourite albums, Tattoo You, number 2, 1981. And it opens up with the brilliant Start Me Up. Dun, dun, dun. Charlie's drumming on this is just fantastic. Hang Fire, classic track. Slave, and a little bit of TNA, great track. Black Limousine, fantastic stuff. Neighbours, these tracks are just brilliant. Worried About You, Tops, Heaven, No Use in Crying, and Waiting for a Friend. I love that. One of my favourite tracks off the Tattoo You album. Solid album. 83, another album come out, number 3. Opens up with a brilliant Undercover of the Night. I love that. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. I just love it. She Was Hot, very good track. Tie Me Up was good. Too Much Blood, another good track off this album. Too Tough, All the Way Down. Do they hang up? No, they keep going. 86, Dirty Work, number 4 in the album charts. One Hit to the Body. This album is not my favourite. I don't like the cover to it. It's a bit thing. The only one I really like off this album is Harlem Shuffle, and I like the title track, but it's not my favourite album. I think if I ever did a ranking, this would be pretty low down on the list. Talking of rankings, you know my theory. I will not rank a band because these are big, they're not obscure. But if someone puts in the comments box, do you think, Ian, you can do a ranking of all the Rolling Stones albums? I might do it. If it's a requests don't get turned down. So if you wanted me to rank the Rolling Stones, just put it in the comment box and I will rank it for you. Okay, next album. Got to number 2, last one that Bill Wyman would appear on. It's the Brilliant Steel Wheels. This is the tour that I saw the Rolling Stones. I'd never seen them before, and I'd always wanted to see them. My friend Lee again. They played at Wembley Stadium on the 4th of August 1990. 4th of July, sorry. What a day to go and see them. It was my Lee's birthday as well. Great day. And it was also this day that England played West Germany in the World Cup semi-final. Now we all know Mick is a great football fan. And during the set, in between songs, he'd nip backstage and watch us look at the football. Then he'd come out on stage and tell us what was going on. And that's such a memory of the Rolling Stones for me. Mick still doing a gig, but nipping off now and again to go and look at the score. What a bloke. Great album, one of my favourite albums, not just because it was the tour I saw them on, but it's probably one of their best albums, probably since Some Girls. I mean, Tattoo 2 was great, but this was much better. It opens up with Sad, Sad, Sad. Great rocker. Mixed Emotions. I love that guitar riff in that. It's fantastic. Terrifying. Terrifying me. Hold On to Your Hat. That gritty guitar at the beginning. Hearts for Sale. Solid track. Blinded by Love. Rock in a Hard Place. Classic song to me. Keith Richards singing I Can't Be Seen. Almost Hear You Sigh. Nice track. Continental Drift. The end bit of this is how they start the show. That thing, and then it goes straight in. It went straight into Start Me Up. What a way to start a show. I might actually I'll definitely rank the live albums from the Rolling Stones because they're all great. I'll pencil that one in sometime. Break the Spell, great track. Slipping Away. What came next? You thought, oh, how can they compete with everybody in 1994? Of course they can. They brought out Voodoo Lounge and it got to #1. First time we had Darryl Jones on the bass and Chuck Leavell was on the keyboards. This is a good solid album. Love Is Strong, one of my favourite songs actually. Sparks Will Fly, another great track. Brand New Car, brilliant. Suck on the Jugular, great track. Then we had next one out, 1997, #6, Bridges to Babylon, another solid album. Flip the Switch is good. Then we got the Anybody Seen My Baby? Co-writer KD Lang, great track. Low Downs, fantastic. Gunface, love that. Might as well get juiced. I love how they come up with these titles. We know what it really means, but great track. Thief in the Night is another good one. And then in 2005 they bring out another album, a bigger bang, and it gets to #2 in the charts. It's just unbelievable. They don't do much for a little while and they come out and they automatically get a top 10 album. These albums are all top 10 and they're all fantastic. Rough Justice, great track. Streets of Love, another good one on this album. Dangerous Beauty. Look What the Cat Dragged In, great track. And then we get Blue and Lonesome, which we've talked about. But while they were still making all these fantastic albums, they put out some great singles as well, of course. I mean, 1964, Not Fade Away, Little by Little, #3. And then one of my favourite songs, It's All Over Now, #1. Back with Good Times, Bad Times. And then again in '64, they're making albums and putting singles out. Little Red Rooster and Off the Hook. Great. Another #1. I mean, that's let's have a look. It's All Over Now was #1. Little Red Rooster #1. And then the next one, the last time #1, That was in '65, and then I Can't Get No Satisfaction, number 1. Another single from '65, Get Off of My Cloud, number 1. And in '66 they had to drop down to number 2 for the 19th Nervous Breakdown. Great song. But guess what? They came back up again. Paint It Black, my favourite track by the Stones. Fantastic track. Then they had a little bit of a stutter. They had to go down to number 5 with Have You Seen Your Mother, Baby, Standing in the Shadow of the Blues, and Who's Driving Your Plane, number 5. Then came in 1967 as well, Let's Spend the Night Together, number 3. They dropped down to number 8 then for We Love You, but they come back strong. Jumping Jack Flash. It's a Gas, Gas, Gas. Honky Tonk Woman, another number 1. Brown Sugar got to number 2. And Tumbling Dice was number 5. Hello, here comes the other trouble. I think I've looked at the clock and yes, I know what they want. It's time for a walk. So, some great memories of the Rolling Stones. All through these albums, Charlie Watts was reliable, tight, with his little kit. Who needs 5,000 drums when 4 will do? Very solid. He was a terrific drummer, very underrated in place because he was a great jazz drummer as well, and he used to play at Ronnie Scott's a lot. He will be sadly missed by anyone that's got anything to do with rock and roll. I'm so glad I saw them, and I saw that lineup with Bill Wyman. I've seen Bill Wyman since. He came to Northampton, and it was just the who's who of rock and roll. Georgie Fame was in there, and 1 or 2 others. And they did a few Stones numbers. It was a great thing, but you know, I never got to see the Beatles, so the next best thing to me is the Rolling Stones. In our household, the Rolling Stones, Dad liked their earlier stuff. It was more Beatles than Rolling Stones, but as I got older, I think as well is that the Stones were still going, and it's an album collection that's took me a long time to build up. But now I've got them all, and I love every minute of it. Okay, this has been a sombering show, but today we've got a bit of fun in the album artwork. Boy, have I got some stinkers for you. These are not in my collection. I just went on the internet and I just googled the worst album covers ever. Oh boy, did we come up with some stinkers. Then we've got the weird, the wonderful, and what the is going on here. It should be fun. I've got 20 of the nightmares. So we'll be back for that later. I need to take my dogs for a walk because they are now pestering me. So I shall go and take the dogs and then we'll do stinkers. See you laters.